the children in Uganda. They include Muguluka Primary School. You're most welcome. Where are you? Please stand up. Where are the students of Muguluka? You're welcome. Kikusa Primary School. Welcome. St. Kisito Tikalu Primary School. Welcome. Kawale Primary School. You're most welcome. They are represented by Honorable Wakaima Musoke. You're most welcome, and thank you for bringing the children to witness the proceedings. In the public gallery, again, we have a delegation of students from Cavendish University Law Society. You're most welcome. Please stand up. Welcome. Leader of opposition is on Procedural, so then I come to you.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I did observe the demeanor of the Minister of Finance while responding to a very pertinent matter raised by the Honourable Sirwanyi, and I never wanted to seek his immediate clarification because he was running away. But I knew I would have him after he has submitted. To respond strictly to two issues. One, his submission on the crisis in Kenya is not satisfactory. Do you want to inform the country, Honourable Speaker, inform the country, our capacity, import capacity, how many months can we sustain the economy in the face of an import crisis? We know you have depleted our reserves, and now we have a crisis, one of our major trading partners. For how many months can we sustain the economy in case Kenya went into a crisis? You did not supply a important answer to the honourable member, and it simply said you'll deal with it. Do you rule over Kenya as well? Are you the one with Minister of Finance in Kenya? Right Honourable Speaker, yesterday, and I was waiting for my senior here today, now that he's here, that he's now running a parliament and has cut a parliamentary budget. Do you want to inform Parliament whether our budget is statutory or you moved it to something else? Do you wish to explain to Parliament whether the parliamentary budget is statutory? Because you've cut it, that's what we need. So committees will not work, and you are aware, without oversight, there should be no expenditure. So you are raising money to spending into the entities. I don't want to give Parliament money to exercise oversight over your work. So do you want to explain why you get authority to cut the budget of Parliament to exercise oversight over your work? Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Minister. Honourable Minister, the budget of Parliamentary Commission is a statutory one. It is only the President that has powers to do anything. And we always discuss our budget with the President, and it is approved. In the current budget, there was an approval of the budget for Parliament of Uganda, but to our dismay, the same budget that was approved by the President has been slashed off. It has been cut off, and we will not have money for emoluments, which is statutory. We will not have money for committees. We are doing, one of our roles is oversight. So I think that's what the leader of opposition is asking as a member of the Parliamentary Commission. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker and friends. Colleagues, friends. Now someone will go.
Please, Minister, go ahead. Go ahead.
Since I came here,
The Honorable Matia Kasaija is a member of Parliamentary Commission. He now says, you know, I came here not knowing. So you don't even know that you're a member of Parliamentary Commission. So you need to retweet to know that you're a member of Parliamentary Commission.
Honorable Kasaija is retreating to come and give us a feedback on the issue of the budget. And secondly, about Kenya. We will give Honorable Kasaija,
Madam Speaker.
20 minutes to go and give us a feedback.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Sechi.
Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I wanted initially to thank you because for the first time I saw a united parliament and your ability to galvanize both sides of this house in a common cause and position was impressive. There are not many occasions where Parliament is united as it was yesterday. But before the Honourable Minister can run away.
Honourable Minister.
Before the Honourable Minister can
run away.
You
have something to lay on the table before you leave.
Madam Speaker, I'm seeing for the first time ministers running away from their responsibilities. And this is saddening. When a direct question was raised, we are seeing blockade on the border. And this elicited a direct response. But for the minister to say we shall act as it comes and within our means, this is the first time I'm getting a very vague response from the front bench. Even as the leader of government business was unable to respond to Honorable Sewungu's press story. Here we get information from all sources and angles. The best you do, you say, I'll check and give a response to this house. But where you find the front bench is too mean with information, is too undecided, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Sechi.
Yes.
We could also hear from trade.
Most obliged.
Thank you. And let's not just answer for the sake. Let's take action.
Madam Speaker, I want to request that we make a statement to this House tomorrow about what is happening on our borders.
A statement and action.
And action.
And then I'll also need from Shadow.
Yes, and what steps we are taking
to
help.
Yes, Okot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, if trade is going to come and give maybe information of that kind, there were a lot of very many issues raised on the floor of Parliament, especially on Uganda wildlife authorities. If they could also indicate something in relationship to that, so that in a way, I mean, because trade is going to come and submit a report, a detailed reports here, and we have other pending burning matters also.
Under Rule 220, we are going to have action taken reports next week. So all the members, government chief whip, all the issues that were raised must be responded to. So ask all your ministers to be ready to come and present action taken reports. Yes, Gilbert. Honorable members, we need to move.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, last week you directed so well that members of Parliament with matters of urgent importance should get in touch with the Honourable Ministers and through the Speaker so that the matter is addressed urgently. Right Honourable Speaker, getting Honourable Ministers is becoming...
First start getting me.
Exactly.
Because it was through me.
Thank you. Right Honourable Speaker,
my office is open 24/7.
You're right. You know, you are so busy. You are so busy last week.
No, I've never been busy for a member.
Yeah,
I have never been busy for a member.
Thank you. Right Honourable Speaker, the point I was trying to bring up is that there are other matters of importance that are really so urgent. For example, like the power blackout in northern Uganda, in my district, Amoro, where people are using electricity for less than 4 hours a day. Power comes, it goes, it comes, so we do not know what is going on. So
have you reported that matter? Have you written to us?
That's why I wanted, I wrote to your office.
No.
Yes, I wrote as a matter of...
Bring evidence and table it there.
Rather, Speaker.
Honorable Lanya, if you've not done it, please do it and we'll contact the Minister of Energy and have it done, okay?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Atkins, yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Ministers are always available for members of Parliament. And understanding instruction, Right Honourable Speaker, is that we give priority to members of Parliament when they come to our offices. Yes. Listen. For instance, in the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, the instruction we gave that when a member of Parliament comes to the ministry, he should straight away access the ministry. Even if I'm having a meeting, you can come and attend it to you. Yes.
Honorable members,
so that
the ministers are making a commitment that
because the members of Parliament are our colleagues, and through this, the message goes to my colleagues that we should prioritize members of Parliament when they come to our ministry so that we respond to the issues
thank you.
They have.
I think, honorable members, I think we need
to... blanket way that we don't respect and give priority to members of Parliament.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, I think we need to streamline on how we handle these things faster. Atkins, Elijah.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I want to deliver to you, Madam Speaker, greeting from Kasese. I lost an uncle. I just returned. But, Madam Speaker, at the burial of my uncle, they asked me to deliver this appreciation to you, and this is in regard to your letter dated February 7, 2023. The attention that you gave when one of our senior citizens, aged 75, was abducted, illegally detained in an illegal facility, tortured and murdered, and his body dumped in Malago Hospital. Madam Speaker, your letter invoked addressed to the Minister for Internal Affairs generated a response from the Minister of Internal Affairs dated February 14, 2023, and also a letter from the Minister for the Presidency dated February 9, and very finally, Madam Speaker, a letter from the Minister for Internal Affairs addressed to the IGP. Specifically, Madam Speaker, when you directed that the matter of a senior citizen be comprehensively investigated and action taken. Madam Speaker, all of these letters are addressed to the IGP. And specifically, the Minister for Internal Affairs, General Kahinda Tafiri, directed the IGP to respond within 7 working days and give you a copy. Madam Speaker, I have just come from your office. This copy from the report from the IGP is not yet in your office, Madam Speaker. And I look at this as something fundamentally wrong, speaking quite a lot to our systems. Madam Speaker, a Minister for Internal Affairs is the main supervisor of the IGP. I don't know under what condition of law does the IGP ignore instructions, direct instructions, clear instructions from the Speaker and the Minister for him not take action. Since it's now 3 weeks, and Madam Speaker, the IGP was given only 7 working days. Madam Speaker, the reason why I took the floor is basically a procedural question. Madam Speaker, do we still have a country that is governed according to a set of laws and procedures and systems? Is the IGP of Uganda today now the supervisor and the champion of crime and criminality? Because the Kasese people want accountability. The body was buried in a city mortuary, and the same office, the police went and exhumed the body without a court order. So who is this IGP or police system that wants to make this country ungovernable, Madam Speaker?
Thank you. I got a response from IGP, and I am going to have a discussion between you and leader of opposition on the response that we got. I actually had a meeting with IGP and his team in regard to that letter, and we will have a closed door meeting in respect to that.
Madam Speaker,
I even informed you, first of all, sorry for the loss of your uncle. We condone with you. But I also informed you that I had information to share with you. And we are going to have that meeting. If we can have it tomorrow with Lop, that would be good. Elijah, and
Madam
then we go to the next.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for your kindness and grace. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. 2 weeks ago, hundreds of people who belong to Christ Disciples Church.
Is that on my communication?
No.
No, Honorable Elijah. I said, put it in writing, bring it to me, I'll forward it to... Because now you're mentioning it, there is nobody to respond. The minister responsible is not here. So just put it down in writing, and we forward it to Government Chief Whip, and we need a response.
Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence. If you could allow me, then the minister can take up. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. As I stated earlier on, 2 weeks ago, hundreds of people that belong to the Christ Disciples Church in Serere and more so in Kasilo left Kasilo after their leaders had told them that catastrophe is going to befall Uganda they sold their properties and left animals for Ethiopia. Now my concern, our concern of the people is, we don't want what happened in Kanungu for us to hear that has happened in Ethiopia. Yesterday, I received a video of a church where they are in Ethiopia. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, pick up this matter. Pick up this matter because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't want a repeat of the Kanungu. Because the sects are being confused, a situation where they decided to sell all their properties and left on a trek. I don't know even how they moved these villagers who have never even reached Soroti town, reached where, and we don't know where the security was to leave such a population, live and find themselves in Ethiopia. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we don't want mass graves again to be discovered that we have lost people because they belong to certain sects. Their leaders have confused and deceived them.
Thank you. That is a potential case of human trafficking, and this must be handled. Government chief will pick it up, and then minister will come. Seungu, can you lay your letter that you talked about on table?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the letter you talked about.
First, apologize for making noise. Just.
Honorable Speaker, I not make noise. I was on the principle, but in a good faith, I must apologize before you, the Speaker.
Okay, lay it on table.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, this letter was written on 24th April 2022 to Honorable Betty Kamia, Triomwe, Inspector General of Government. I don't want to delve into the details of this letter because they are necessary, but however, I want to read this letter where the President is stopping the IGG from asking senior armed officers and officers to declare their wealth. I beg to lay. And Honorable Speaker, these copies I can give the ministers on the front row. It was received, yes, it was received, and he's indicating what? What? Then I can also provide the newspaper to the chief whip, since he has no papers in his office, so that he reads the observer carefully to understand what I'm talking about. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 3, laying of papers, Treasury Memorandum on the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government on the report of the Auditor General on the health sector for the financial year 2019-2020.
Honorable members, Section 53(1) of the Public Finance Management Act requires the Minister of Finance to submit a Treasury Memorandum within 6 months to Parliament for adoption, and it will be referred to Auditor General pursuant to Section Article 163 of the Constitution of Uganda, and in furtherance to Section 53(1) of the Public Finance Management Act, I now invite the Minister of Finance to lay the memoranda.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, on behalf of government represented by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, I beg to lay the Treasury Memorandum on the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, on the report of the Auditor General on the health sector for the financial year 2019-2020. I beg to lay.
Thank you so much. The Treasury Memoranda is referred to Auditor General pursuant to Section 13(1) of the National Audit Act 2008.
Item 3A, laying of papers, report of the delegation of the 17th session of the Parliamentary Union of the Organization of Islamic Countries.
Honorable members, under Rule 33, it provides laying of reports from parliamentary delegations abroad, and today we have such a report from Honorable Hassan Kirumira. I will now invite him to lay on table and speak very briefly about his report.
Speaker, thank you for granting me the opportunity. But usually, when the Treasury Memorandum is laid, it is usually a detailed report indicating what action government has taken on the recommendations of Parliament. And when the Honourable Minister rose, I thought he would be able to lead us through what recommendations. The import is for Parliament to know that particular actions A, B, C, D have been taken, and it is in that spirit that we receive the report and we proceed, Madam Speaker.
You've not looked at the report. You're debating in anticipation. The report we have here has all the actions taken. The Auditor General is going to look at the actions, whether they are really actions taken, whether it has been done, and then report back to the House. The report is here. We are going to deposit a copy in the library. If you need a copy, actually you can have a chance to look at the copy I have, so that it helps you. Honorable Kirumira, please give that to Sechi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I lay this report, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, allow me make mention that Uganda is a member of the OIC countries since 1974. And as a member country, we benefit a lot. A lot of benefits accrue to Uganda as a result of this membership to the OIC. For example, the Islamic University in Uganda was constructed from this organization. Uganda also benefits through numerous scholarships from OIC member states. Ugandans in various fields. Moreover, these scholarships are obtained by Ugandans irrespective of their faith. Uganda stands to benefit greatly in terms of investment in different fields such as agriculture, industry, and many others, of course, from these wealthy countries. There are also numerous opportunities regarding Islamic banking that Uganda can explore. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the most patent resolution of this conference was reaffirming the need to respect the independence, cultures, and civilization values of member countries, and rejecting attempts to impose, undermine, or any cover for strange external behaviors or practices, including homosexuality. I wish to note, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, that the OIC has the same position of this August House and the people of Uganda regarding resisting attempts for cultures that contravene our values. To that end, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, allow me lay a report of the delegation of Parliament of the 17th session of the Parliamentary Union with the Organization of the Islamic Countries, which took place in the capital Algiers from the 29th to 30th of January 2023. I beg to lay.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kirumira. The report will be deposited in the Parliamentary Library for its reference. And thank you for giving us a brief of the report. And also thank you for representing the country. And you're doing very well. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Item 3C.
Procedure.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rule 33, Sub-Rule 3. The Speaker shall appoint time not exceeding 45 minutes for debate on the parliamentary delegation abroad. Honourable Speaker, are we procedurally moving on well as such an important report when we have not given time to debate about it. Thank you.
Rule 8 gives the Speaker a discretion to determine on matters that. So I have given him time, he has presented his report, and I have said take to the library and you'll go and read it. Say, Tinker is also on procedure.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this latitude. My submission was coming in the circumstances that you had given us opportunity to debate the report, because the matter that I wanted to raise are concerns of Muslims in participating in the parish development model, where people are forming circles, and these circles require people to take money at an interest that is contrary to the Islam, the Islamic faith, regarding taking money for interest. So no. The matter that I thought I would use this opportunity to raise in the circumstances was how we are going to restructure these government policies to be in line with what is propagated at the Islamic Organization Conference.
Honorable Tinker, when the loan is taken under Islamic banking, is when it becomes haram to ask for interest, but it does not limit. It does not limit Muslims from going to the open market and getting loans. Most of the people who get loans are Muslims, and they go to the banks. They get more money because they are active. They are business minded. They go and get loans and they pay interest. What you're speaking about is about Islamic banking. And Honorable Alan, this is just part of the report. This report is out of IPU and NAM. We are going to have a whole report of IPU put together with what Honorable Hassan has, with what those of Honorable Kimosho have, and we have a debate on international reports.
Madam.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 3C, laying of papers, addendum.
There is a procedural matter.
Madam Speaker, we keep receiving messages from the IGG.
From IGG?
To declare our wealth. And we saw you declaring. In view of this letter, which you have said the government can respond, I had thought the UPDF officers who come to this parliament and say nothing every day, that at least they will be able to tell us how they are going to deal with this matter, because they are members of parliament. And we are all supposed to declare, at least as MPs. But since, Madam Speaker, you know that for them, they just come and sit and wait. When it is a controversial matter, they run away. Can you guide us as MPs, because they are also members of your parliament? What do they do? Since they can't speak for themselves, I am now helping them.
Honorable Member, the legal advisor of government under Article 119 of the Constitution is the Attorney General. So Attorney General is going to come and respond to this letter.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable
my name is Honorable Wakoli Godfrey.
Wakoli, when you're speaking, you don't switch on the mic. Okay?
Sorry.
Then you speak.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am Wakoli Godfrey and I do represent the people of Utiru. Many times I have listened to seniors in this house. Senior Semuju, he has just pointed out that we have colleagues in this house who don't speak. But Right Honorable Speaker, some of us in this house have issues to raise. But when you see colleagues, senior members of Parliament raise, some of us stand to speak and they consume most of our time and we do not speak. I want to request, even as he has accused the UPDF that they do not speak.
My UPDF speak.
Yes, but
when it is important issues.
But we are, Right Honorable Speaker, the procedural matter I'm seeking, that this House indeed is supposed to also grant opportunity to new members of Parliament. You find a member of Parliament standing up to raise even very trivial matters when we have serious issues to raise.
Honorable Wakoli. Honorable Wakoli. Now you're speaking. Are you an old member of Parliament? Did you give yourself chance to speak by yourself?
Thank you, Right Honorable. But I was not accusing you for not giving us chance to speak.
Honorable members, just leave.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
And one thing I'm going to tell you, stop attacking the presiding officer.
I'm sorry.
This must stop. Are you getting me? If I have a debate on something, I know whom I should pick, who can add value.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The issue of the letter laid by the Honorable Seungu, I have also just read. It's an old letter. But I just wanted to clarify, as the Attorney General comes to the House.
Honorable members, listen.
As the Attorney General comes to the House, it is not correct to say that the President said that the armed forces, the soldiers, should not declare. What he's saying, that the IGG should study the way the security officers should declare so that the declaration doesn't undermine national security. I have read the letter. He's saying, work with the army so that the manner in which soldiers declare does not undermine national security. He did not say don't declare. So it's important not to mislead the public.
No, let's wait for Attorney General to come on.
So the public shouldn't be misled.
Order.
That soldiers cannot declare.
Let's wait for Attorney General. Next item.
Item 3C, laying of papers, addendum number 3 to supplementary schedule number 1 for the financial year 2022-2023.
Honorable members, as you may recall, aware that Article 156, 2 and 3 of the Constitution, I am going to get you people out of the House. Honorable members, as you may be aware that Article 156, 2 and 3 of the Constitution and Section 25 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 provide for supplementary budgets and require legislative approval on the same. On 23rd December 2022, the Minister of Finance and Economic Development tabled a supplementary expenditure budget 1 for financial year 2022-2023. Since then, the Minister has tabled two addenda to the supplementary expenditure schedule, and today is bringing addenda 3. And I want to put a minister on notice that we have a problem in Mulago Hospital. How I wish you could bring another addenda for Mulago Hospital. The Heart Institute the Cancer Institute. We are waiting for you to bring an addendum in regard to the hospital. I want you to take time off and go and visit Mulago Hospital. Whatever we are approving should be for the good of our people. Because now we are going to have that addendum. You will pass a supplementary, but you will have done nothing in health. Honorable Minister. And we shall be waiting before we bring the supplementary. We shall be waiting for health.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
There is a procedural matter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, last year, using the powers entrusted in the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister, who is just going to lay addendum number 3 of Schedule 1 of the Supplementary budget, paid tobacco farmers in Bunyoro within the 3% supplementary expenditure limit. Following that payment, issues were raised to government, and the Prime Minister came on the floor of this House and explained and communicated to the country that the President had directed her to work with trade and finance to pay monies owed to West Nile tobacco farmers. Before the Minister lays that addendum number 3, wouldn't it be procedurally right that he clarifies if he has exercised the power he exercised to deal with farmers in Bunyoro in the case of West Nile tobacco farmers as he lays this addendum now? I thank you.
Honorable members, the issue of the payment of farmers for Bunyoro, as you have said, it was paid under the 3%. The report is going to come to the House. However, Honorable Minister, the issue of the farmers for West Nile must be provided for. We need those farmers also to be paid. Let's have it in the current budget, in the 2023-24 budget, and have those farmers paid. Let's not discriminate. So let's have that done. Honorable Minister, I don't want us to talk. For me, what I want is money to be paid. Action.
Right Honorable Speaker, let's begin with our farmers, the tobacco farmers in West Nile. Let me say something, please.
Minister, speak.
It's work in progress. Yes.
Honorable members, there is a verification process team that has been put in place under Attorney General's chambers.
So please.
I have got a communication to that effect.
Thank you. I don't need to add more on that one.
Can you lay your supplementary?
Madam
But
Speaker,
we need to know, Honorable Minister, we need to know how far you have gone with the verification and when are the payments beginning.
Information.
Okay? Honorable Minister, is that understood?
You are aware verification is concluded.
I did not give you to speak. Honorable Minister, furnish my office with how far you've gone with the verification and when these people will be paid.
Information.
Madam Speaker, most obliged.
Okay, can you lay your... Lay your Honorable.
Am I holding the floor, madam?
I have never seen indisciplined people like you, Silas.
Madam Speaker and colleagues, I wish to lay addendum number 3 to supplementary schedule number 1 for financial year 2022-23. I beg to lay.
Thank you. When do we have for health? When shall we have the one for health? I am also aware that health returned 80 billion.
Yes.
And you never gave them back the money. So when do we have for health?
Can I beg you, Madam Speaker, that you give me 2 days? I will come back here and give a full story and how we are progressing.
Honorable members, the addendum 3 is referred to the Committee of Budgets. That is Schedule 1 of 2022-2023.
Item 3D, the Uganda Communications Fees and Fines.
Procedural matter.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Finance has committed to come back here to give us information regarding health. But, Right Honourable Speaker, some time back, the Minister...
Just a minute. Honourable Minister, you had gone out to, 1, find out whether our vote is a statutory one. 2, give us information about the cuts that you have done on the Parliament.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker and the colleagues, the issue of budgeting as the Parliament desires is being handled by the 3 arms of government. Parliament will be involved, the executive is involved, and the judiciary. The decision is outside my hands. It is in the hands of the 3 arms of government, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Yes, Lillian.
Right Honorable Speaker, I hope I heard the Minister right. I heard the Minister state clearly the statement that Parliament budgets as it desires. I thought that our budget is done as it's required. I would therefore want the Minister to clarify whether our budget is based on our desires, individual desires as members of Parliament, or as an arm of government. Kindly, I seek for that clarification. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Sorry if I was not very clear. We are one nation. We are one people. There are institutions that govern this country. The budget is a national issue. It cannot be decided by a single sector. What I'm saying is that this budget is going to be shared between Parliament, between the executive and the judiciary. And we decide on how to cut our cake in order for each sector to move
Procedure.
as necessary.
Procedure.
Asman.
Right Honourable Speaker, we must be very careful. The explanation by the Minister for Finance, I am aware that since the 10th Parliament, there has been an attempt by the executive to undermine the appropriation authority of this Parliament. It is deliberate. And what has been happening is that at one time, Right Honourable Speaker, we were in one of the committees of Parliament and the PSST came and we asked him where they get authority to begin making budget cuts on Parliament. After we have made appropriation, allocations have been made, what goes where? Who sits somewhere and begins making decisions outside that? And remember, these are made through appropriation, through the budget process, and through a bill and an act. But I'm aware that the idea to undermine Parliament by the executive using Ministry of Finance is deliberate. And it has been going on. Colleagues, we must fight for our space. We must fight for our territory, because this has been going on. And I want to tell you, if we don't rise up, these guys are going to muzzle us. So it's really about our space, it's about our territory that we must defend.
Honorable members, just a minute. Honorable members, they are not guys, they are they are from now. Honorable Kasaija, as a chairperson of the Parliamentary Commission, I am summoning you for a meeting in regard to that, and we must have a meeting before you go and discuss the budget with the President. So let's have a meeting tomorrow before you go and debate on the budget. Next item.
Item 3D, laying of papers, the Uganda Communications Fees and Fines Amendment Regulations 2023.
Honorable members, Section 93 of the UCC Act 2013 mandates the minister in charge of ICT to make a regulation for implementation of the Act. The regulation requires parliamentary approval. I therefore invite the Minister of ICT to bring to lay on table the Uganda Communications Fees and Fines Amendment Regulations 2023. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I lay, let me just make one comment about what the regulation is about. That we have reviewed the spectrum and provided for spectrum access bands. Spectrum refers to the invisible radio frequencies on which the communication signals move. And this answers some of the questions which have been raising on dropped calls and the quality of the calls which we make, the telephone calls, but also upgrading from 4G to 5G, and therefore it is aimed at improving the communication through phones, the radios, TVs, and so forth. With that, Right Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Section 93 of the Uganda Communications Act, I beg to lay on the table the Uganda Communications Fees and Fines Amendment Regulations 2023. I beg to lay.
Thank you. The regulations stand referred to the Committee of ICT and for scrutiny and report back to the House. Next, yes. Before the procedure, I needed an update from Pastor Bahati David on the program of tomorrow.
Madam Speaker, as part of the activities to commemorate the work and the contribution of our brother, the Right Honorable late Jacob Olanya, the Uganda Parliamentary Fellowship, which meets every Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30, is inviting you. We have prepared prayers to remember him, to pray for his family, and continue praying for this house at the members' lounge, 7:30 to 8:30. And breakfast will be served. It's budget neutral. We want to invite each one of you to come and be part of these prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. After that, at 2 to 4, we shall be paying tribute. Let's have prayers in the morning. Yes, Lord.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Minister for Information has just laid here the regulations for the Commission. We have raised severally in our alternatives here the question of the Minister failing to appoint a UCS tribunal. And as such, the Minister is the tribunal, maybe with his PS. The act, they are complainants, they are prosecutors, and they are judges at the same time. And as such, the ministry, not the minister, is holding many media houses at ransom, and they have no recourse to this tribunal that is in the act. And the act is almost getting grey hair without a tribunal. Will the minister explain to this house why he should not lose his job for sleeping on duty? Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Minister, we need a tribunal in UCC. And it has been there, even when I was in Kosase, we raised it up. It is still pending up to today.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I can't lose my job because I'm one of the active ministers of this government. Very active ministers. Yes, Right Honourable Speaker, the Uganda Communications Act passed by this Parliament, true, makes provision for a tribunal which is supposed to work like an appellate court, so that if there are complaints about the decisions of UCC or the Minister for Information, then appeals can be made. Work was undertaken by my ministry, but we are discussing it in the context of rationalization. And therefore, so true that I slept on the job. Work is ongoing. And maybe when the debate, yes, because
on rationalization?
Yes, the executive arm of government is undertaking a rationalization exercise where agencies and departments are being reviewed. And therefore, we couldn't proceed to establish a tribunal. We are fitting it into that debate. So when the debate comes here, then we shall update you.
Yes, Lord.
Because the cabinet now cannot allow you to create a new institution or agency. It has to fit into that, yes.
Lord.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, thank you for yielding the floor. Would you please clarify, namely, that since the Act was enacted and passed, how are complaints resolved under this Act? How are complaints resolved? But secondly, the issue of rationalization is just a few months back. So, does the discussion of rationalization put a halt on the laws of the land? Were the laws stopped from operating because of rationalization? Do you want to clarify?
Yes, yes, Adur.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The additional clarification that I would like from the Minister this regulation that he has laid here requires that before the minister makes that regulation, consults Parliament. The approval is prior to making the regulation. And I want the minister to confirm that Parliament actually approved this regulation prior to laying. If Parliament did not, then the minister ought not to have brought that regulation here.
Honorable Minister, so what has the regulation been brought for? For scrutiny by our sectoral committee.
Right Honourable Speaker, by its very nature...
Was there a consultation with the Parliament on the regulation that you made?
Not consultation. Actually, Section 93(1) says that the minister may, first with approval of Parliament, and then the Commission, then later make the regulation. Meaning that its condition, the condition is that you must come to Parliament and get the approval. After the approval, you can then now make
Did you get the approval?
Regulation.
Since you have referred it to the committee, we shall work with the committee on ICT. Yes. And the Parliament will be advised what the law says.
But you need to understand what the honorable member is saying, that there should have been a prior approval.
The Attorney General will guide us on what the
Attorney
law
General.
expects of us.
Attorney General. Attorney General.
But in any case, if it requires approval, what I would say, because you have sent it to the committee, then the committee can make a report, and once it is adopted, then we can lay and
Regulation 93 says the minister may, after consultation with the Commission and approval of Parliament by statutory instrument, make a regulation for better carrying into effect the provision of this Act. That is 93(1). Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you have read the provision clearly. The law does not come into effect until it is approved by Parliament. So if it is not approved by Parliament, it's not a law. So it has to go through the processes and then be brought. I think what happens here is that the committee scrutinizes it, either approves or rejects it. And if it approves, then it becomes a law. It cannot have effect under the Interpretation Act until it is approved by Parliament.
Actually, this regulation should not come into effect before the report of the committee is provided.
Learned Attorney General, what the minister seeks to do now is ideally what should have happened first. Because the UCC Act, you come to this table to lay the regulations. And once they are laid, that's all. There cannot be another referral to the committee. Laying is the last process, is the end process. Yes, and that's the essence of subsidiary legislation. So ideally, once your ministry makes the regulations, at that stage, you go to the committee. Because that's what 93 is talking about. The approval comes from the committee. When you are coming here, you are about laying, and that's what 93 is talking about. You don't go to the committee again, come back here. That's the end game should be the laying here.
Honorable members. Yes, procedure.
Madam Speaker, not many times that I am going to agree with the government. But Parliament will need to understand how it operates. I remember when we were amending the UCC Act, we had a debate over the regulations. The only way a document can come to Parliament is by laying. if it requires scrutiny by the committee, it can be referred by the Speaker. If the Minister has laid regulations and they require parliamentary approval, then we can only be pleading with the Speaker to refer the regulations to the relevant committee. They come here for approval.
Which I've done.
I find a problem with us stopping the laying. Then how do we receive the regulations from government?
Madam
I want you to interest in the amendment of 2017. Check the amendment of 2017 on section 93.
The prior approval was even removed by this Parliament.
Honourable members, let's refer the document to the committee, and it will not come to an effect before we get a report from the committee.
Much obliged. The Honourable Minister did not respond to the question of how are disputes resolved under the Act in absence of a tribunal. Because, like I said, I know he is the complainant, the judge, and the prosecutor. Does one tell us how disputes are handled, media disputes are handled?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. At the moment when there are disputes, UCC can look at them, the Minister can look at them, but also the Constitution provides for High Court, which has an unrestricted jurisdiction, that if you are not satisfied, just hold on. You need to learn how to listen. If you are not, yes, just hold on, hold on. If you are not satisfied by a decision made by UCC or the Minister for Information, you can go to the High Court, because the High Court under the Constitution has unlimited jurisdiction and it can entertain complaints. And
Honorable Minister,
yes,
Honorable Minister, we need a tribunal.
Yes, we need.
Please go and work on the issue of tribunal.
I am working on it, but I have guidance from Cabinet. Yes. Because I cannot, yes, I cannot, Madam Speaker, I am a member of the Cabinet of Uganda. I cannot bring work here if it is not cleared by Cabinet. And the guidance I have from Cabinet,
Attorney General,
the discussion of creation of any agency, which wrong information? You don't sit in the Cabinet. I'm giving
Honorable members, Seungu, Honorable Seungu, when I am chairing this house, I will not allow that. You mean if you say a word once, I cannot hear? You don't even have respect for visitors. You have visitors all over. What will these children think? No. Learn to have respect.
To be got corrected. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Let's have a
I want to tell you people, I will apply Rule 79 on a person.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The point I was making, that there is a discussion.
What you're talking, Minister, is not correct. For us, we want the tribunal. This business of saying we are going on to rationalization, yes. How sure are you that we are going to rationalize? And will it stop the operation?
No, but you
for
can't
us,
say...
Honorable Minister, you sit.
Yes.
No. Honorable Minister, you sit. We want a tribunal. We want a tribunal in UCC. We cannot do ad hoc kind of operation. When I was in Kosase, we raised that issue. It has been an issue so many years. When you say we are going on to rationalization, can you rationalize as the cabinet? Doesn't it have to come to the House, assuming the House refuses? Next item.
Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence on this issue of the regulation, and I want the Attorney General to help the House and the country. These are regulations that are going to charge fees on the various telecommunication companies and broadcasting houses. But on paragraph 2 of the instrument about commencement, Madam Speaker, it says that these regulations shall come into force on the date of publication in the Gazette, except for item number 9, paragraph E, which shall come into force on 1st July. Madam Speaker, the issue I'm raising is on commencement on this statutory instrument. This is now the law. And a Gazette I have here published on the 3rd of March 2023, which means this instrument is now in force of law.
That instrument should not come to effect before approval from the committee. And the committee has to report to this House. Yes, Attorney General.
Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues. Section 93 was read and was amended, and it said that Parliament can reject any of the provisions that are put here. The Right Honorable Speaker has referred this document to the committee. If the committee feels that there is any provision that they do not want to have in here, the committee will report back to the House and the House will guide.
That's what we are saying. We are making a correction of that by sending it to the committee. So our committee must now work and bring a report back. So for now, it cannot take effect.
Madam Speaker, so the Ugandans who are out there should now know
that it is not in effect
at the moment.
Yes.
And UCC cannot collect these fees until Parliament has pronounced itself.
Exactly. Next item.
Item 4, motion for reconsideration of the National Local Content Bill 2022 as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 142 of the Rules of Procedure.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, you earlier referred to the amendment. I was here when the Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, because the feeling in Parliament was that these regulations will require parliamentary approval. But the decision that we took as Parliament was that they will be laid. In fact, in effect, changing the requirement as it was before. So the approval was removed. The procedure issue I'm raising, Madam Speaker, is where the Attorney General must not address himself to the section as it was and to the section as amended. Because we seem to be returning something that we changed in this Parliament. I was here, that debate took more than 3 hours. And the feeling in Parliament was that bring the regulations, we approve them. But the decision we took was not to approve, was just to lay here. That's the decision that we took. So, Madam Speaker.
AG.
Right Honorable Speaker.
I would like to give him quick information.
AG.
Right Honorable Speaker, the provision as
there is
amended.
a requirement that we must either reject or
Can we hear from Attorney General? Can I hear from Attorney General?
The timeline is critical.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, don't think you hold monopoly of being stubborn and thinking that you can pick a microphone and just start talking like I don't wish you to see the other part of Anita.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Semuju. The provision as amended reads, Parliament may by resolution revoke regulations or a particular provision of the regulations within 30 days from the date the regulations are laid. That was the amendment. So, Right Honourable Speaker, you have correctly sent it to the committee, and if the Parliament feels that there is any provision it does not wish to have, it can reject it or amend it. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Member, next item.
Motion for reconsideration of the National Local Content Bill 2022 as returned by His Excellency the President.
Honourable members, as recalled, the National Local Content Bill was passed by this House on 6 September 2022 and was transmitted to His Excellency the President for assent in furtherance to Article 91(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. The President evoked Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and returned the bill for reconsideration by the House through a letter dated 16 January 2023. The bill was referred to the Committee for Reconsideration under Rule 143(2) of the Rules of Procedure. The committee is now ready in furtherance to Rule 1433 of the Rules of Procedure. Now I invite the sponsor of the bill to move a motion for reconsideration. Honorable Shabe Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, before I move the motion, allow me bring members to speed, mainly about the local content bill.
First move the motion, then that will be part of your...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Most obliged. Right Honourable Speaker, in accordance with Rule 130 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I beg to move that the bill entitled the National Local Content Bill 2022 was returned by the President for consideration of the clauses be read the second time.
Is the bill seconded? Seconded by Gilbert, Alan, both cabinets. Silwa Nyabe, Mbale, Aru, Father Nel. By everybody. Yes, would you like to speak very briefly about your bill?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the local content bill was conceived some time back when we looked around what is happening in other countries. Honourable members, when you look in other countries, there is an institutionalized policy framework where the companies, the people of those countries are given priority, especially where taxpayers' money is used. When you go to Ethiopia, when you go to Kenya, when you go to other countries around us, there is an effort to ensure that their local companies, in the midst of this competition, worldwide competition, are given a chance also to prosper. When you come back here, all our companies here home, they are dying. Why? Because of the stiff competition that comes with the open nature of our procurement rules and laws. Honorable members, you've witnessed where our neighbors here will choose to say, please don't bring your milk
We have enough milk. Don't bring your maize. We have ours. Don't bring your sugar. We have ours. Why? Because in their inherent nature, they have institutional mechanisms and institutions to deal with ensuring that when they have a product, there is no reason why they import it. Honorable members, the fact that for us here, we do not have institution frameworks to ensure that our companies, our people are protected. This is why we thought of conceiving a legislation to cure this mischief. I'm calling upon you, honorable members, the same effort you used yesterday on homosexuality, we use the same effort to support our people in this country. We use the same effort to ensure that whatever is provided for in this law is for the benefit of the people of Uganda. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Shabe. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have Father Oscar Ahimbisiwe from Kishariro Parish, represented by Honorable Timuzigu Michael of Kajara County and Honorable Muijuche. You're most welcome, Father. Thank you for sending us very good members of Parliament. Honorable members, the bill was returned and it is self-explanatory. It has a letter which was explaining why it was returned, and I'm reliably informed there is a minority report to that effect. So we'll ask the chairman first to give us a brief report from his side, a summary of his report, and then we'll also hear from the minority members. We'll put more of our emphasis to committee stage. Chair. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm not in any way trying to impeach your guidance on the report. But when we are enacting laws, those who come after us, Right Honorable Speaker, will want to understand the spirit and letter of the law. And the spirit is captured in the manner the committee's report. May I seek your kind indulgence to allow the chair to read the entire report, because it does help posterity, and when the record is well captured, it does help for those who want try to understand or even challenge the law and the intentions of the legislators.
Go ahead and read.
Thank you.
But the answer will also capture everything on the reports.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to present the committee report on the local content bill as returned. The assent copy of the National Local Content Act 2022 was returned to Parliament by His Excellency the President and referred to the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Development on the 1st of March 2023. The committee has considered the assent copy of the National Local Content Act as returned by His Excellency the President and hereby reports. Object of the National Local Content Act 2022 assent copy. The object of the Act is to impose local content obligations on a person using public money or utilizing Uganda's natural resources or carrying on an activity requiring a license to prioritize Ugandan resident companies and citizens in public procurement, to ensure skills and technology transfer to Ugandans, to provide for the development of local content plans, to provide for the supervision, coordination, monitoring, and implementation of local content in Uganda, and for related matters. Methodology. The committee reviewed the letter received from His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda returning the Act. The move of the bill was not available, I believe, until yesterday, but we received a written submission from Honorable Shabe. The committee further carried out consultation with the Attorney General's chambers and the Ministry of Finance, and these were a detailed consultation in writing, and the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on the sections under consideration. The committee held an internal meeting to consider and deliberate on the amendments as proposed by His Excellency the President. I also need to mention, Right Honorable, that since producing this report, we've had a harmonization meeting with the mover of the bill, and also with our colleagues who had written a minority report. But I'll present the report. I'll read the report as it is, and we'll deal with that during amendments. Committee findings, observation, and recommendation. The committee scrutinized the sections that form the basis for the return of the Act by His Excellency the President, and made the following proposals on the findings, and the following proposals on the finding were made. Section 1C, it's about application of the Local Content Act 2022 to the mining, electricity, and tourism sectors. The President notes that the Mining Act, Electricity Act, Uganda Tourism Act, and the PPDA Act have provision on local content. He further states that the National Local Content Act should apply to public sector procurement matters, only. That's the President. The mover notes that whereas the Mining Act 2003 did not contain local content obligations, the Mining and Minerals Act 2022 contains provisions imposing local content obligations, such as Section 3Q, 28.2K, 194.1, 5 V, and 196.3. Okay, I'm not supposed to summarize it, but in summary, we partially agree with the President. We partially agree with the President. While the Mining and Minerals Act 2002 consists of all the above empowering provision for local content, there are no regulations that gave a detailed breakdown of matters concerning local content as stipulated in the National Local Content Act 2022. So there is a bit of local content in the Mining Act, but there are no regulations at the moment as a way of enabling it. But the Electricity Act, Cap 145, the Electricity Amendment Act 2022, and its regulation policies, codes, guidelines, and standards have no reference to local content. Further, the Uganda Tourism Act 2008 does not have any provision for local content. Regarding the application of the Act to public sector procurement matters only, Section 50, 55, 59A, and 59B of the PPDA Act provide for preference and preservation for Ugandan goods and services, and further require all public procurement and disposal to be carried out in accordance with the rules set out in Part 5 of the Act, and any regulation and guidelines made thereunder. Whereas the PPDA Act does not have elaborate provision on Local Content Act, allows for the issuance of guidelines under Section 55. It is under this context, under this pretext, that the guidelines on reservation schemes to enhance local content were issued. The guidelines have elaborate provisions on local content. The committee further observed that with the proposal by His Excellency the President that this Act applies only to public sector procurement matters only, there would be 2 concurrent laws addressing local content matters in procurement. The committee was of the considered view, therefore, that since there is a regulatory framework for local content in the current procurement regulatory framework, the same could be reviewed, and where the guidelines on local content are perceived to be inadequate, they can be enriched to comprehensively cover all aspects of local content. Or, the provision of the law on local content in PPDA regulatory framework can be repealed, and the proposed national content law applies to all matters of local content, including public procurement. This is to allow for one law to cover aspects of local content instead of having 2 laws covering the same exact subject matter. The committee was cognizant of the fact that where Parliament adopts the recommendation to repeal the provisions on local content in the PPDA Act, several contracts will be affected. This can, however, be cured by providing for a grace period of either 6 months or 1 year, whichever is practical. Whichever is practical for all public procurement to become compliant with the National Local Content Act 2022. The committee therefore recommends that 1. The Mining Act should be deleted from the application of the Local Content Act 2022 under Section 1(1)(c). Roman 2, that we maintain the application of the Local Content Act 2022 to Electricity and Tourism Acts. The passing of the regulation under the Mining and Minerals Act be expedited, and the requirement on local content specifically provided for to cover all aspects elaborated in the National Local Content Act 2022. The local content provision in PPDA Act be repealed and incorporated in this Act, which shall take precedence over all other laws on local content in the public procurement matters. That all contracts existing under the current framework be granted a grace period to become compliant with the National Local Content Act. 4.2. Section 1G and 23 regarding internally and externally financed.
Is it section or clause 1G and 23?
We're guided.
I am looking at your report.
Okay, according to the report, we are referring to the assent copy, which is referred to as an act. And therefore, we are quoting it as section 1G.
You read what is in your report.
Section 1G and 20.
Clause 1G and 23 regarding internally and externally financed.
And public borrowing of any such similar arrangement. Clause 1G and 23 regarding internally and externally financed public borrowing of any such similar arrangement. 1G states that this Act shall apply to a local content entity whose activities are financed through public borrowing or any such similar arrangement. The President notes that this provision, together with Section 23, require government's internal and externally acquired resources to comply with local content obligations. According to the President, this is not practical since each development partner has their own policies and guidelines negotiated before the start of any project. The President therefore proposes that the negotiation for local content, to the extent that is practicable, should be left to the minister responsible. The mover notes that This section is intended to draw as much value from transactions.
This clause is intended to draw as much as Are we using the same report?
Chair, just read what is there.
It's fine. Okay, this clause is intended to draw as much value from transactions arising internally and externally, source resources, since they are now numerous and are contracted using the procurement laws of the relevant body. The minimum obligations imposed under the clause are merely a guide to the minister who will be negotiating the agreement to ensure that these matters are included in the agreement. He referred to Clause 4A of the PPDA Act, which requires that where a bilateral loan or negotiated grant contains the condition that the provider shall originate from the country of the donor, procurement of the provider shall be in accordance with this Act, and where there is conflict between the Act and the agreement, then the agreement would take precedence. He concludes by stating that Clause 1G and 23 should be left in the Act, since it operationalizes Clause 4A(1) of the PPDA Act, which allows for the procurement laws of Uganda to take precedence, and they are only set aside when they are in conflict with the agreement. The committee observed that PPDA Act under S4A(2) provides for the proposal made by the President for the exemption of development partners from compliance with the local content requirement, especially where there is a conflict between the agreement of the development partners and the law on local content for procurement matters. The committee further observes that there is need to define who a donor is in the context of S4A, of Section 4A of the PPDA Act, for purposes of determining which funds should be exempted from the application of the local content law in line with the President's proposal. The committee was also emphatic on the funds advanced by development partners, which are recovered from public money, which includes taxpayers' money, in terms of principal, interest, and commitment. Such projects ought to comply with the national local content laws, since the repayment of their advance monies is done out of taxpayers' monies, and this repayment has an interest element. The committee was mindful of the fact that the National Local Content Act is an affirmative action law whose primary objectives include development of the human capital and economic aspects of the country. Therefore, there was need to critically examine any provision that appeared as an impediment to the attainment of these objectives. In that regard, the committee proposed a redraft of Clause 4A of the PPDA Act to ensure that the primary objective of the local content law is achieved, especially with regard to monies paid to development partners that are recovered from taxpayers. The committee observes that Clause 4A(2) has the effect of all allowing a private agreement to fetter the application of an Act of Parliament. This was found to be unconstitutional, Since an act of parliament cannot be amended or reversed by private arrangement, since provision ordained by parliament cannot be amended by private contract. This was the finding of court in cases of High Court of Uganda in Civil Appeal number 14 of 2011, Heritage Oil and Gas Limited versus Uganda Revenue Authority, and KM Enterprises and others versus Uganda Revenue Authority, which all found that private arrangement cannot waive a legal obligation imposed under the law. The proposal by the President to grant procedure over a legal provision by a private agreement will be challenged, as were the actions in Civil Appeal number 14 of 2011, Heritage Oil and Gas Limited versus Uganda Revenue Authority. In that regard, the committee proposed a redraft of Clause 4A of the PPDA Act to ensure that the primary objective of the local content law is achieved, especially with regard to monies paid to development partners that are recovered from taxpayers. The committee, therefore, recommends that Clause 4A of the PPDA Act is reviewed to clearly define who a donor is and apply accordingly to the local content provision. 4.3, Clause 2, definition of a contracting authority. The committee made the following findings. Observations and recommendations, Clause 2, regarding the definition of a contracting authority. The President proposes that the definition of a contracting authority should be extended to cover authorities, local government, local authorities, statutory bodies, and agencies. The committee agrees with the President's proposal. The committee notes that the proposal may be modified to exclude local authorities since they are covered under local government. The committee recommends, therefore, that Clause 2 of the Act is amended in the definition of contracting authority to include authorities, local government, statutory bodies, and agencies. 4.4, Clause 3, Department under the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to implement provisions of the Act. The President states that the functions of audit and compliance of local content should be left to the Auditor General, Internal Auditor General, or PPDA. The President further states that the monitoring function should be undertaken together with other stakeholders. The mover notes that the Auditor General is empowered under the National Audit Act to provide for the auditing of accounts of central government, local government councils, administrative units, public organizations, private organizations, and bodies. He further notes that the audit power granted to the department are restricted to only auditing compliance with the Act, while those of the Auditor General are restricted to auditing accounts. He concludes by noting that there is therefore no conflict between the exercise of the functions of the department and the Auditor General, since these entities will exercise jurisdiction over different matters. He therefore prays that Clause 3.2k be retained as it is in the Act. Committee observes that the department should do the monitoring, supervision, and auditing of the local content be left to the office of the Auditor General and Internal Auditor General. The Audit Act 208 under Section 13(1)(b) clearly states that the Auditor General shall conduct financial value for money audits and other audits, such as gender and environment audits, in respect of any project or activity involving public funds. The above provision is permissive and allows the Auditor General to carry out specially themed audits. The local content audit would qualify under such audits. The committee therefore agrees with His Excellency the President that the audit and compliance aspects of local content remains with the Office of the Auditor General. The committee recommends that audit and compliance be left with the Office of the Auditor General and that of the Internal Auditor General. 2. That clause 3 is amended in sub-clause 2 by deleting paragraphs F, H, and the word audit in K. Clause 4, preferential treatment of Ugandan goods, works, and services. The President states that Clause 4 gives preferential treatment to Ugandan goods, works, and services contrary to the East African Community Protocol on free movement of goods and services and the East African Monetary Union. The mover notes that the Act granted priority to goods manufactured and services provided from the ESC under Clause 31, meaning that the Act conforms to the EEC protocols. He adds that the Act under Clause 31 grants priority in tiered manner to goods and services, noting that the first priority is granted to Ugandan goods and services, and where those goods are not readily available in Uganda, then priority is extended to goods and services procured from East African Community countries. The mover mentions that local content obligations are also imposed under other laws, including the Petroleum Act, Mining and Minerals Act, and PPDA Act, and they were all passed after the coming into force of the ESC Treaty. The mover further noted that almost all the East African partner states have local content laws, such as Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Sudan. These local content laws have specifically targeted particular sectors such as gas, oil, and other mineral resources, telecommunications, public procurement and asset disposal in public institutions, participation in the private security sector, National Construction Authority, and investment in the insurance sector. None of the laws in this jurisdiction give similar priority treatment to goods from Uganda. The legislation None of the laws in this jurisdiction give similar priority treatment to goods from Uganda. The legislation on further examination provide framework to increase the local value capture along the value chains in the sectors highlighted above. The committee is aware that currently certain local content obligations are contained in a number of laws, including the minerals law and the oil and gas laws of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and South Sudan. Furthermore, most of the countries in the EAC have laws and regulations imposing local content obligations, including in Kenya, there are more than 3 local content acts that provide the framework to increase local value capture along the value chain in the exploration of gas, oil, and other mineral resources, telecommunication, public procurement, and asset disposal in public institutions, participation in the private security sector, National Construction Authority, and investment in the insurance sector. The National Construction Authority Act 2011, for example, imposes local content restriction on foreign contractors defined as companies incorporated outside Kenya or with more than 50% ownership by non-Kenyan citizens. The Act requires foreign contractors to enter into subcontracts or joint ventures, assuring that at least 30% of the contract work is done by the local firms. Regulations implementing these requirements are in process. The other act is Kenya Insurance Act 2010, which restricts foreign capital investment to 2/3 with no single person controlling more than 25% of an insurance capital. Kenya also introduced new regulations which require holders of existing mineral rights to submit to the Cabinet Secretary for mining procurement plans, which must one, set target level for local procurement based on procurement list to be developed and communicated by the Director of Mines. 2, indicate specific support to be provided by mineral rights holders to local providers or suppliers, as well as other measures being implemented to develop the supply of local goods and services, including broadening access to opportunities and technical support. The regulations also require engineering services to be rendered by Kenyan engineering companies registered with the relevant regulatory bodies or by foreign engineering consultants working in collaboration with the firms or companies licensed to provide such engineering services in Kenya. B. In Tanzania, local content provisions are provided under Mining Act, wherein the minister responsible for minerals in Tanzania recently published government notice number 749 of 2022, introducing various amendments to the local content regulation of 2018, which grant priority to Tanzanian entities to the exclusion of the other entities from the EAC. Under that act, foreign companies seeking to provide goods or services must incorporate a company in Tanzania and enter into a joint venture with a local company. Prior to the amendments, foreign companies could provide the goods or services in association with a local company. Thank you very much. In association with a local company. The new regulations have thus specified the form of association acceptable under the law, in which case the provider of goods or services must be incorporated as a local entity, which must in turn be a joint venture with a wholly owned local company. Tanzania has local content obligations under the mining, oil and gas local content, the works, transportation and communication, agriculture, livestock, fisheries, and other industries, trade and tourism sector. The government of Rwanda has recently drafted a Made in Rwanda, which is the equivalent to Bubu in Uganda, Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda here, policy that seeks to improve the overall trade balance by improving perception of Rwandan products within the country. Part of this proposal includes the establishment of a local content unit that connects new investors with potential local suppliers. In 2012, South Sudan National Legislative Assembly enacted the Petroleum Bill, which was signed into law by the President in 2012. The Act paved the way for the formulation of the National Content Policy in 2018. The policy includes clauses that require 1. Procurement of goods and services produced in South Sudan. 2. Employment and training of South Sudanese. 3. Transfer of skills, knowledge, and competence. All the above local content laws do not grant priority to Uganda. Having such laws is essential for national development, and since all the EAC countries have them, it is prudent that Uganda has them as well to ensure that when these laws are harmonized, Uganda does not lose out. And that's what really persuaded us. And this is committee observation now. While the cited jurisdiction have aspects of local content laws to specific sectors, and while Uganda is desirous of taking the lead in complying with the treaty, it is necessary to appreciate the likely impact of considering the East African goods without priority being given to Ugandan producers, manufacturers. The committee further observed that whereas the partner states have no specific legislation called the National Local Content Act, they have sector-specific laws addressing issues of local content. These covered the oil and gas sector, mining, telecommunication, insurance, and procurement, among others. The countries further had policies that strongly required promotion of local content requirement. Secondly, when the local content laws are being harmonized, only existing laws can be harmonized. If Uganda has no existing laws on local content, at the time when we do that harmonization, it will have to recognize the local content laws for the other jurisdiction. But it cannot, at that point in time, introduce local content for itself in the harmonized law. Therefore, Uganda should have a law on local content for purposes of uniformity and ease of harmonization with the other East African countries. Thirdly, the law is not in any way prohibiting free movement of goods. At no point does it exclude the movement of goods from the other EAC partner states. It only seeks to give preference to Ugandan goods when it comes to public procurements. Giving Ugandan goods priority for public procurement is not in any way a barrier to trade for goods from other East African countries entering Uganda market. The law has not stopped any jurisdiction from having their goods brought into Uganda. The committee took note that while non-tariff barriers include import quotas, subsidies, custom delays, technical barriers, or other systems preventing or impeding trade, none of this is being introduced by this law. Lastly, Clause 31 of the Act gives East African goods and services priority over any other goods and services. At this juncture, I'd like to request my colleague, Deputy Chair, to read the rest. So the recommendation on that, and we have harmonized as I mentioned, but the recommendation was that the committee recommends that Clause 4 regarding the preferential treatment to Ugandan goods and services be maintained in the Act. It's 4.6.
Thank you, Chair. Clause 5(2) regarding the rejection of Ugandan goods and services during procurement. The President states that the requirement for written permission
Honorable Jane, you're on clauses now? You're looking at the clauses?
4.5. 4.6, sorry.
What shall we be doing when we are looking at clauses at committee?
Right Honorable, I'm on 4.6, which is regarding the rejection of Ugandan goods and services during procurement.
That is which clause?
5.2.
What I am saying, what shall we be discussing when we are looking at clause by clause as returned?
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg your indulgence. Please guide how I should proceed.
Government whip?
Right Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank the Honorable colleague for this bill. In the circumstances, Right Honorable Speaker, the learned Attorney General was present, and as the principal legal advisor of government, we thought that he would lead us through when we move to committee stage. But he has been summoned yet by another high authority for an important meeting. We have made some consultations, Right Honorable Speaker. If it pleases you, we could receive the report and we defer the committee stage such that it gives us also an opportunity to consult and harmonize on especially the drafting, and we come back next week and we move to committee stage. I beg to humbly request, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Lob.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the submission by the Honorable Bua. Now that this is a bill which has been returned by the President, it is very clear that he has areas of departure from the position of Parliament. And I thought it is only proper that members take time to understand the point of departure clearly, clause by clause. But this comes through the report. So I would want to find out whether it is not procedurally proper that we still be patient and allow the committee to entirely go through their report, because this is a bill which has been returned.
The committee has read the report. What Honorable Vuru is now going on is the clauses.
The clauses.
But the report has been presented.
Yes.
However, there are clauses, issues of departure, clause by clause, and that's what we are saying. We need an Attorney General to be around for.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before it comes on board, so on the issue of the Attorney General or not Attorney General, the positions are already written, and that is what we have always been doing. The report is clearly stating the departure points of the President, and the committee positions are now clear. So where we really need a particular matter to be referred to the position of the Attorney General, then that can be stayed upon. But I don't think it is necessary. We really need to proceed with the bill and exhaust this and pass it. Thank you.
Lob.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've had consultations with the government chief whip and the land attorney general. My problem is frustrating the member and the mover of the bill. And I would be grudging a settle for an adjournment of the debate, just to make sure the private member is not frustrated, but to bring to the center the areas over which the land attorney general had probably had issues, and to allow the member to have the bill moved. And I want to suggest that the chairperson would be very useful if he gets to understand that one of the issues the land attorney general raised is that the drafting is not really compliant with the basic standards of drafting.
And he says he was not consulted.
And that he was not consulted. So we don't want the Attorney General to come here and raise dust and then frustrate the member. We are amenable to an adjournment of the matter and then be able to make sure the member's issue is promoted, because that's why we are here. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm ready to wait, and my job is protect the private member. and therefore I've spoken to him. We're willing to wait for the Attorney General to be around so that we can move to the center.
So can we have this bill? Yes, Jonathan.
Madam Speaker, I am in agreement with the proposal being made, but the chairman of the committee has done us a disservice without seeking your attention to invite the vice to come and continue reading the report. He had just read up to page 13 of the report, and the report goes up to page 29, appearing as if we are now moving to the next stage. So I would beg your indulgence that that is clear and the report is concluded, and then the other processes then can go.
Maybe the chairman got that he wanted help. He wanted help of a vice. Yeah. And what the vice is reading is the amendment of clause by clause. And that's what we are saying. We need Attorney General to be in when they are looking at those clause by clause. Honorable Ababiku, no, you are the owner. We are legislating for you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. At this point, I agree with the Leader of Opposition, not because for the interest of the mover, but for the interest of this country. All of us have been striving hard to ensure that the local content law comes into effect, to ensure that our country grows with its people. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, therefore the presence of Attorney General will help all of us, not only the mover, and really returning this law and some of the specific provisions is a derail to the country. Therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, I support what the Leader of Opposition has moved. Thank you so much.
Santa, you will make a clarification.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I too stand to add my voice that indeed we need to wait for the Attorney General. Madam Speaker, this is a very, very important bill. When you look at our pattern states, all of them, they have the local content bill. And according to the report, when it comes to the point of harmonization, we shall be having nothing. So I also join to say that we don't need the Attorney General to come and again say the bill was debated when he was not around and not given the legal opinion. But Madam Speaker, I don't know whether it would not be right. I heard that there is a minority response, whether we should not also receive the minority response after, so that members have enough time to look through both the report. I thank you, Right Honourable.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker and honourable members, if there's anybody who is happy with the new Attorney General and his deputy, it's Joseph Gonzaga. In the previous Parliament, we used to have a big challenge of processing bills here without the Attorney General. And if you open the answer, you will find that I used to raise those issues. One time the Attorney General came and the bill started delaying. It was not moving very fast. Wherever we have an Attorney General seeking indulgence of the Speaker, that should be around as we process the bill is very important. There's no Speaker. This bill has a lot of legislation. They have mentioned a number of acts from Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, PVD and others. It will give us room as members of Parliament now to go and read deeper, so that when the Attorney General comes in and the committee chairman, the move of the bill, we move in tandem to process the bill for the betterment of this country. Otherwise, rushing without the Attorney General, even if he goes to court, he distances himself from what Parliament decided. So my prayer still goes to the thank the Speaker and the law for that prayer. Thank you much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving this opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, I agree with the members on the issue of the Attorney General. My concern is that, Right Honourable Speaker, the report was not complete. As Honourable Dul said, we on page, I think, 13, but the report was continuing. Seems like the chair had a problem and called on the vice to come and complete the report. So I don't know what we are going to do. She was not reading clauses. She was continuing with the report presentation. Thank you.
She was reading the amendments that were returned by the President. Those are the clauses that were returned by the President. However, we are for reconsideration. We are going to allow her to present, but what we are saying, do we present them in the absence of AG or not? Yes, Esther.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to take the same stand like my colleagues. I think we shall be going back and forth in the absence of the Attorney General. It costs us nothing to wait a bit so that we move homogeneously and uniformly to the end of these bills. I suggest that we wait up to a time when the Attorney General is around. Thank you.
Solomon. Solomon Fred.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. One of the bills that is very, very important for this country, Right Honourable Speaker, just like the one we passed yesterday, is the local content bill. Because this benefits our investors, our businessmen, and it will prosper Uganda and move us to the middle income economy. Right Honourable Speaker, there is no reason as to why we say let's continue, and the Attorney General has requested, because he requested and appealed, Right Honourable Speaker, to your office. So I think for the benefit of all of us, for the benefit of Ugandans, for the benefit of this House, I implore honourable members, let us agree, we move forward, we wait for the Attorney General to come so that we move forward when we are moving on the same pace. So I want to support the LOP on his idea of waiting. I want to support the government chief whip that we kindly wait. And this bill is very important. Honorable Shabe, I seek your indulgence. Let us move as a team.
Yes, Fred.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if you follow all the communication medias all over the world, you are the one trending over the courageous step you took yesterday. Worldwide, you are the one trending. So, Honorable Speaker, I wouldn't like to spoil what you created yesterday. Therefore, I would request, Honorable Speaker, that you wait for the Attorney General and we leave no stone unturned over this important bill for this country.
Honorable members, I've heard from all of you. I want to thank you so much. This is a very important bill for this country. It is one. I have also got a complaint from tourism that they were not heard by the committee. That's what they are saying. However, we are all in agreement that we need Attorney General in this bill, and we need a harmonization between the private member, the Attorney General, and the committee. We are going to have this debate on this report on Tuesday. So we are giving you tomorrow, Friday, weekend to harmonize, and Tuesday we will have to pass this bill without fail.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, when I had the Chief Whip and the LOP, they indicated that let us receive the report. Right Honourable Speaker, we were halfway. We were halfway in receiving the report, and the request from the Chief Whip and the confirmation from the LOP was that we receive the report, because it has the other part of the minority. We receive the report and the minority part of it, then we come back here when we've done what you required us, the Attorney General. Honorable members, thank you so much for your agreement with the Attorney General.
Because the Attorney General, by the way, advises the President before these things are returned. Probably they have a point, we have a point in waiting for him, so that we don't suffer the same fate as we suffered. Yes, thank you very much.
So what are you saying, that we continue receiving the report?
We receive the report, Right Honourable Speaker.
But you know, where now the report is, the clauses, the
Right Honourable Speaker,
the
we have not reached
explanations.
there.
No, what she's looking at is what was returned. That we need Attorney General to be there to hear and listen what it is.
Right Honourable Speaker, we shall need the Attorney General at committee stage.
What is Honourable Vuru is reading is what is going to be at committee stage. I am telling you, I've looked at the bill. We are looking at what was returned by the President.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker,
yes.
Let me just make a clarification what we are trying to do. First of all, I had the itchy throat and I wanted to take some water while the Deputy Chair continues reading. But we considered the clause by clause. And we are
of what was returned.
Of what was returned.
That's what Aguru was reading.
And our report, and that's what I was also reading. So we are continuing with the committee report, but we've not got into the amendments yet. And when I had a word with the Attorney General, he said he had just got the report. He hasn't had opportunity to consider it. But he had no objection with us continuing to read the report. And then we can have of course we'll be meeting to confer, to harmonize. We'll be meeting to harmonize, and thanks very much. Tuesday gives us time to do that harmonization. But what I would like to request is that we complete what we've started, because we'll now be stopping halfway through.
Honorable Wanda.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Listening from all the members and the concerns of the Attorney General, we just know that even on Tuesday, it will be necessary to read this report again, because he will want to know and follow clause by clause. Isn't it procedural, right, Madam Speaker, that we stay this process to avoid repetition on Tuesday?
Thank you, honorable members. You've heard. And on that note, therefore, I want to wish all the Muslim community, our brothers and sisters in the entire country, a happy fasting season of the holy month of Ramadan, which begins tomorrow, 23rd March 2023. Let's use this fasting period to pray for ourselves, pray for Parliament, and pray for this country. And I wish them a happy fasting season. We will resume with this debate on the bill on Tuesday and pass the bill. I now adjourn the House to tomorrow at 2.